Time community, and welcome to the Wheel of Time Pod-Thru. I'm Teresa.
And I'm Tim.
And together, we're going to walk through Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time book series. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. It's been an interesting day. Got a lot done. I'm ready to do a podcast.
All right. Before we get started, we just want to remind you that this is a reread. We assume that you've read the entire series, so there will be spoilers. You have been warned. All right, Tim, what are we going to be doing in today's episode?
Today, we're going to be discussing chapters 4 and 5 of the Dragon Reborn, where Perrin's dreams have some unwelcome visitors and trollocs come to party. Chapter 4 is called Shadows Sleeping, and the icon is the wolf.
Here's a quick summary to act as a reminder for those of you who are not reading along with us. Perrin is dreaming that he's in a common room at an inn and comes across a well-dressed man who wants to talk to him. The man seems familiar, but Perrin can't see him clearly because he's shrouded in shadow. He can feel the tickles and murmurs in the back of his mind, but ignores it, just like in the waking world. The man talks to him about giving up his axe, saying that he's a blacksmith and was meant for a hammer. He should go home before it's too late. Perrin wants to, but he can't because he's Tavren. The man says that things can be changed and offers Perrin a drink, which Perrin refuses. He turns away, and the man harshly tells him that he will not get many chances. 3 threads woven together share one another's doom. When one is cut, all are. He warns that fate can kill, and when Perrin turns back, the man is gone. The scene shifts, and he sees himself in front of a mirror, or rather, a version of himself in gold-plated armor, the axe at his side a trusted and favored weapon. He hears a voice say, "A man destined for glory," and spins around to find the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. Suddenly, nothing matters but her, an impossibly beautiful woman dressed in white, talking about power and glory and making every man around her go gaga over her. Sound familiar? At first, Perrin falls in line with her shtick, glory equals good, but the murmuring in his head distracts him from her and gives him some clarity. He takes off his golden helmet and tells her that he doesn't want it. He's a blacksmith. She tells him not to listen to those who would turn him from his destiny. He could be great, and let's have a drink together. A growling chewed at his brain, and he rejects the cup. Fighting for focus, he tells her that he is a blacksmith and tells the sounds in his brain that he is a man. Darkness enfolds him, and he hears Celine's voice say that the night is always there, and she will be in his dreams. The scene shifts, and he's back in normal clothes, standing on a stone bridge connecting 2 spires. He catches a glimpse of movement out of the corner of his eye and hides behind a railing. He sees a woman in all white rushing somewhere. On a different bridge, he can see 2 men meeting each other warily. Perrin can't hear their conversation, but they are definitely arguing. They're joined by a 3rd man, and the argument continues. Abruptly, one of the men threw his arms wide, and an expanding ball of fire enveloped them, hid them, spreading out and out towards Perrin. He drops to the floor as the heat engulfs him, but a moment later, it's gone, and he's not hurt. The men are gone, and the bridge they were standing on is melted. On a nearby ramp, he sees a shaggy gray-haired wolf looking at him. He runs from the wolf, and the dream shifts again. He recognizes a room with red stone columns and knows he's dreamed of this place before. In the center of the room, a large crystal sword hung unsupported by anything. He went to reach for the sword, but was blocked by an unseen barrier. He hears a whisper, "Kalendor, who wields me wields destiny. Take me and begin the final journey." He took a step back, suddenly frightened. That part was new. He hears another whisper from a source he recognizes and sees a wolf there among the columns. It stared at him intently with eyes as yellow as his own. The twisted ones come. Resisting the wolves, he fights his way out of the dream. When he wakes up, he hears the warning from the wolves again. The twisted ones come, brother.
We get our first real look of the official World of Dreams. This dream still has the odd shifting reality that we've seen in previous dream sequences, but it doesn't bother me as much this time. Probably because even in the midst of the weirdness, it's still grounded. Like the table's still a table, the fireplace is a fireplace. Things just seem to make more sense than in the Beelzebub dreams in the first 2 books.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting that Ishmael brings up the hammer versus the axe debate for Perrin. Like Rand said a couple chapters back, sometimes dreams tell them true things. This is Perrin's central conflict throughout the entire series. And Ishii is right when he says that Perrin is a blacksmith, and a damn good one. In his heart, he was meant for the hammer. Ishii might be the first one to spell it out. So clearly. And it's funny that it comes from one of the Forsaken. It's like in Harry Potter, Danny, take a shot. How the fake Moody is who first gives Harry the idea of becoming an Auror.
Right.
Ishmael is using the truth as a weapon here.
Interesting. Hadn't thought of it that way.
It's weird, huh?
If he can talk Perrin into walking away and go back to being a blacksmith, then the pattern will possibly be down one of the 3 taverns it needs to keep the whole wheel going. Because at the end of the day, Ishii's fight is not with the Dark One or the Creator. It's with the wheel itself. Ishmael implies that killing one tavern would mean that the others were cut out of the pattern as well, but I don't think that's actually true. I think he's just trying really hard to get Perrin to walk away and pursue a peaceful life that he already craves.
Also, there's that bit of prophecy that says when the Wolf King carries the hammer, thus the final days known.
Right.
So Ishii doesn't know about the kick-ass power rot hammer that Perrin gets later. So maybe he's thinking Perrin returning to be a blacksmith will usher in the end of days so he can finally get off this wheel.
Right. Because the hammer, I hadn't thought of that before.
I mean, I don't know, but that's a possibility. Because who could have foreseen that Perrin was going to get that really cool hammer later?
Eat your heart out, Thor. Yeah. What do you think the significance is of the drink that Perrin is offered? Like, both Ishii and Lanfear offer him a drink, and he turns down each time. Do you think it would have straight up killed him, or possibly put him under some kind of compulsion? Like, it makes sense that they would try to turn him. Then the Dark One he'd have a much easier time of winning. But it seems too simple for me for it to be that.
Yeah, I don't really know. Ishii says that he will see more clearly after drinking it. So that implies that the drink would make him more likely to comply. But I'm not sure why he would need the cup, because they could compel him without the drink.
Right?
And Perrin seems like he's fighting off compulsion throughout the whole dream, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe it was poison and it would have just killed him. Like, I'm not sure. I just have Mad Eye Moody's voice in my head yelling about constant vigilance. That's another one, Danny.
Oh, yeah.
So I forgot that Lanfear messes with Perrin's dreams too.
Yeah.
Like, this actually takes on a whole new layer of meaning after knowing what happens in A Memory of Light. You know?
Right. I find it interesting that Lanfear assumes all men want glory. Like, here's the thing about Lanfear that kind of bugs me. Not all men are alphas. It's true that there are a number of alpha men out there who are really ambitious and desire all the stuff that is connected with glory and conquest and in whatever form that conquest comes in. But Perrin is not that guy. Sure, young Bull is an alpha. He's literally the Wolf King. But at the end of the day, Perrin is more of a creator than a glory seeker. He just wants to work in the forge, make things that people actually use to make their life easier. Maybe be a member of the village council one day, but they build a life among family and friends. Lanfear has used this seeking glory bit on both Rand and Perrin only to be very frustrated by the fact that neither of them are interested in fame. It may be time for her to start singing a new song.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember, but isn't it Lanfear who brought Perrin to the place in the dream so he can see the two men arguing? Like, Perrin does not know anything about the world of dreams yet. So there's no way that he could have brought himself there on his own. He had to have been brought to this place where it looks like a lot of bridges. I just can't remember if we know for sure that it's Lanfear that brought him here to the secret meeting or one of the other Forsaken.
I don't know. It could be the wolves, because they do that for him in other dreams. Like, they show him the Forsaken, I think, as like a warning that it's too dangerous for him to be there or something. Right. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. But, I mean, Lanfear is definitely here, obviously. But we see her running the other way, and then she disappears. So it's a little confusing. I don't really know.
The meeting takes place in a setting that is similar to the place with a bunch of connecting bridges that Rand sees when he has that Beelzebub dream in the first book. What I'm getting at here is that this could be what the ways look like when they had not been tainted. Just an idea, not even a theory really, but it stuck out this time that this may be what the ways used to look like before they got all dark and twisted.
Maybe. I don't know, though. It seems really straightforward, you know? Like, I feel like this is more of one of the ancient cities that no longer exist after the breaking.
That could be.
I don't know.
The two men Perrin see here are Raven and Baal, and they're joined by Ishmael. We know the last one is Ishi because Perrin remembers his features from dreams that he's had in previous books, even if Perrin can't quite place him here in this chapter. What gets me about this passage is that Perrin has no context at all for what's going on. And my first time through the story, I just felt as lost and confused as he did. Like, Jordan does a good job of making you share Perrin's feeling that he doesn't know who these people are, but also making you feel like you should. One of the reasons I like to reread The Wheel of Time so much is that even today, I still get that feeling of, am I supposed to know who this is? Partly because the world is so large, but also because I get pulled into the characters and what they're feeling so much that I forget whether or not I should know. Am I alone in that?
No, not really. I think that you're right that, Jordan does do a really good job of putting you in the place of the characters. But what bugs me about this scene is that he can't hear what they're saying. We don't even get cryptic clues, Like,
True.
All Perrin sees is their body language, so they could be arguing about anything. I mean, we can assume that they're arguing about Bilal's plan to lure Rand to Calendar by implanting it in everyone's dreams. And then they're definitely arguing about Ishi wanting to kill Rand, like, right then and there and with the incoming attack.
Right.
I mean, at least that's my guess, since we'll never know.
And then we shift to Tyr. When I read this passage now, knowing how adept Perrin becomes in the world of dreams by the end of the story, I start to wonder what would have happened to Perrin if he really did want the sword. Like, he can't touch it because it's warded. Like, his hand literally is stopped from touching Calendar because it's protected. However, in one of the final books, he shrugs off a weave of balefire because he's so good at manipulating the world of dreams to his will. I think this means that if he really wanted to touch it, he may have been able to grab the sword. Why is this important? I may be getting way too deep here, but the prophecy said that only the Dragon Reborn will be able to claim Calendar. If Perrin had been able to get around the ward protecting the sword, it would have proved the prophecy wrong, which means it's the same as proving the pattern made a mistake. It's like in that movie Dogma when Matt and Damon and Ben Affleck find a loophole that allows them to be forgiven for their sins and prove God wrong. The result,
Such a good movie.
Yeah, a really great movie. The results would be that the fabric of the universe, the pattern, would unravel. And it was Lanfear's goal to have him given to the lust of glory. So, do you think Perrin could have touched and claimed Calendar if he wanted it bad enough?
That's a really interesting question. I don't think so. This is the dream world version of Calendar, so it's not real.
True.
Perrin isn't there in the flesh, so it's the reflection of Calendar that Perrin would be touching, not the real thing.
Right.
Like, maybe if Perrin was fully in the dream, it would be different, but not as he is now. Yeah,
so I am in this too deep.
Yeah, a
little bit. Okay,
I mean,
all
it's
right.
an interesting question to think about, though.
Interesting, okay.
But yeah, I don't think touching it in the dream would count because it's not the real, it's not the real thing.
Got it. Okay.
Then Perrin hears the warning that the Twisted Ones come and is trying to shake it off and deny the wolves. He claws his way back to the waking world, but the warning is still there. And yeah, Perrin's a dumbass. This is the coolest power ever.
And that wraps up Chapter 4. But before we get to Chapter 5, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Today's episode of the Wheel of Time Pod-Thru is brought to you by a musical interlude.
Young bull, open your mind. The wolves are here and it's hunting time. Better run, bull. Your name is Young Bull.
Chapter 5 is called Nightmares Walking, and the icon is the party trolloc, aka the rock and rolloc.
Leaping from his bed, Perrin grabs his axe and runs outside barefoot and in his small clothes. He's about to raise the alarm when Lan comes barreling out of Moraine's hut shouting about trollocs. The soldiers hop to, and a battle breaks out. Perrin sees Moraine throwing fireballs at the monsters, lighting trees on fire. He spots Leia and can't think of anything but protecting the Tuatha-On woman. He rushes to her, yelling for her to hide, and a huge trolloc bears down on him. He dispatches it and makes it to Leia just as another trolloc is about to kill her. He's hurt in the fight, but kills it right before a murdrel shows up. Cut one leg of the tripod, it says softly, and all fall down. He was frozen in the murdrel's gaze. Instead of hiding, Leia throws herself forward, attempting to wrap her arms around the murdrel's legs. It kills her easily, still advancing on Perrin. He hears the wolves tell him, "We come, brother. We come, young bull." Scores of mountain wolves come to fight the shadow. With the arrival of the wolves, it's a whole new ballgame, and Perrin is caught up with them. Young bull hunts again. He kills the Neverborn and joins his brothers in the battle against the Twisted Ones. It's pretty epic. Abruptly, he realized there were no more trollocs around, though he could feel his brothers and sisters pursuing others as they ran away. He zeroes in on a pack chasing one of the Neverborn and can see the fight through their eyes. He can feel the pain as they are cut down. The wolves finally kill it, but only one of the pack survives. She throws back her head and howls, mourning her dead, and young bull howls with her. When he lowered his head, Min was staring at him. They all were. Perrin quickly shuts the wolves out and says he's fine. Lan saves him from questions he did not want to answer by telling him that he fought well and raising the cry of Taishar Manetheren that the remaining Shanarians echo. He quietly tells Min that Leia is dead, and she reassures him that he couldn't do anything to save her. She tells him that Moraine is healing those she can, and he could use some healing for himself. Perrin worries about being taken over by the wolves, and Massima thinks the wolves' coming was a sign to confirm their faith that even the beasts of the forest come to aid the Dragon Reborn. Uno tells him to shut it. Yay for Uno. Perrin and Min go to find Rand. He rants at them about how useless he was during the attack, fumbling with Saidin. Perrin tells him that they handled it without him, but Rand is in a wallowing mood. He laments that he felt them coming beforehand, but didn't recognize it for what it was until it was too late. He could have given warning if he understood his power better. Perrin is uncomfortable because he also could have given warning if he would just listen to the wolves. Moraine staggers over to them, saying everyone else is taken care of. She heals Perrin, and it takes a lot out of them both. Rand's wound from Falme reopened, and he makes a bitter comment about his blood on the rocks of Shao Ghul. And if she could teleport him there, they could end it right now. She tells him to lay off the prophecy and uses the rest of her strength to heal him. Lan is not a fan of Rand's bad mood and tells them all to get some rest. They have plans to make, and Lad alone knows what would happen next.
This battle is so intense. Something Jordan does with battles, and Brandon Sanderson as well, is giving you a sense that there's more than one fight happening at the same time.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
The fight that we follow in this chapter is Perrin's personal struggle to come to grips with who he is. Like, the Trollocs and the Fades are the immediate threat, but his need to protect Leia and the pull of his wolf brother nature are what's really going on here.
Uh-huh.
He is forced to just react to the situation and doesn't have time to think about what to do. This is a whole new side of Perrin that we have not had a chance to see before. Well, at least not since Shadar Logoth.
Right.
Oh, and Perrin literally in beast mode is something I can't wait to see on screen. Like, the dude is almost naked and barefoot and still kicking ass left and right.
For sure. Yeah. So let's talk about advanced warning systems.
Yeah.
Perrin is warned by the wolves and is about to raise the alarm when Lan comes out shouting about the trollocs. Lan can sense shadow spawn because of the warder bond. So if Perrin were open to the wolves, he'd be even more useful than a warder as far as advanced warning is concerned.
Yep.
And then flashing forward to the end of the chapter, Rand also can sense shadow spawn now that he started channeling. But in his case, he's so green, he couldn't recognize it. But he'll get there.
Yes, he will.
Perrin is so determined to protect Leia. He's pleading with her to hide, and he does everything he can to save her. But he's also really angry. After he kills the second Trolloc, she doesn't say anything, but he reads judgment in her look and yells at her, "Don't you dare pity me," you know?
Right.
And, I mean, I don't know what Leia was actually thinking, but this is Perrin putting his own conflicted feelings on her. Even after she's dead, he tries to rationalize his actions to her, as if her understanding or forgiveness could somehow make a difference.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see how much the Tuatha An affect him.
Right? The Fade makes the comment, "Cut one leg of the tripod and all fall down." So, the Fade may be here to take out Rand, but he recognized Perrin as one of the three Ta'veren. Do you think the Fade was possibly there for Perrin, or just sees him as an opportunity?
I think he just sees it as an opportunity. She sent the Trollocs, and he sent this attack.
Right.
So the goal is to kill Rand no matter what. But, I mean, Perrin's there. They might as well take the opportunity since they're there,
Right. Okay. Thanks for that.
At least that's my opinion. I don't know. So we talked in the last episode about Perrin stripping Leia of her agency by not understanding that it was her choice to stand against the shadow in her own way. Mm-hmm. For some reason, this time around, reading about her wrapping herself around the Myrdrill's legs really struck me. As desperate as Perrin has been to save her, thinking that she was helpless, this was her way of trying to save Perrin. She was essentially laying down in front of a tank to stop the war, With her path of nonviolence, this was the only thing she could do, and she did it without hesitation. Mm-hmm. She made the choice to sacrifice herself to give Perrin the opportunity to run away. She wanted to protect him, and I just find that so beautiful.
Yeah, right?
It's a very small thing, but I think it's a really powerful thing.
And it's something he overlooks.
He just doesn't get it.
Yeah. Perrin finally opens up to the wolves again. The moment for me when he switches from seeing a Fade and calls it a Neverborn, the wolf name for it. No more fighting the wolf inside. The gloves come off and Perrin fades into the background while a young bull comes out to go on a wolf rampage against the shadow spawn. Mm-hmm. And it's no holds barred it's a free-for-all. Jordan's use of the different name is really effective here and drives the point home. This isn't Perrin. This is young bull, and it's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Jordan illustrates the difference between the wolves and man with this one line. There was no honor in the way they fought, no glory, no mercy. They had not come for battle, but to kill. Wolves don't have an agenda. They simply have one instinct, kill shadow spawn. They do what they have to get the job done, no matter how many members of the pack it costs.
Right.
It's also kind of near the same line and almost identical to what Lan says to Damdred at the end of the last battle in Memory of Light. I did not come here to win. I came here to kill you. Which is just kind of a cool parallel. I don't know if that's intentional or not. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but it was kind of cool.
Huh. Okay. So awkward. Min and the others catch Perrin literally bang at the moon.
What's awkward about
It's
that?
fine. It's totally fine. Min is like, are you okay? Because we already have one crazy dude in this camp and there is not room for another one.
Only one?
Well, yeah. We may want to recount, but...
Lan salutes Perrin with the Taishar Menetherin and Taishar Andor. I like to think that Lan does this for two reasons. One, holy crap, Perrin just kicked the ass and took the names of every trolloc there. But the other reason is that he sees the fear in Perrin when he realizes he just howled like a wolf. By saluting him this way, it sends a clear message that Lan accepts Perrin as a brother in arms, no matter how odd his ways may seem. Mm-hmm. And no Borderlander would disagree with Dai Shan, Alan Mandragoran, uncrowned king of the Seven Towers of Malachor. It has to be a comfort to Perrin to have the most popular guy in school have his back.
Seriously, yeah.
When Perrin starts to think about how he can be who he is with no judgment among the wolves, it reminds me of why I connected with him so much when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. It's great to find people who accept you for who you are that are different from the people that you grew up with. Mm-hmm. But the feeling of losing the person that you have always been can be really paralyzing if you're becoming something very different than expected. I remember going to college, I had a group of friends who were all going through the same thing, and I felt that I could be myself with a friend group that was away from home. But when I would go home to my family, I always had a sense of guilt, as if I was betraying my upbringing because of my views they were no longer the same as my family's. I think that Perrin's struggle here is something everyone experiences at some point in various ways. Mm-hmm. There's a sense of loss and sadness that we face, and we realize we're becoming something that people in our lives may not understand or even accept. At the same time, we find acceptance in those around us who are connected to that change in some way. Perrin is stuck between two versions of himself. As hard as I am on him for not figuring out the wolf thing, I get that there's a lot of fear of the unknown driving him to hold on to what he is familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Massima, man. That guy is not okay.
No, he's not.
So here is what the book says. Quote, "It was a sign," the Shanarian said, turning in a circle to address everyone. There was blood on his arms and chest. He had fought in nothing but his breeches, and he moved with a limp, but the light in his eyes was as fervent as it had ever been. More fervent. "A sign to confirm our faith. Even wolves came to fight for the Dragon Reborn. In the last battle, the Lord Dragon will summon even the beasts of the forest to fight at our sides. It is a sign for us to go forth. Only dark friends will fail to join us." This cult leader stuff just creeps me out.
Yeah.
Also, Massima and Child Buyer should get together and go bowling.
Right? Going back to what you said in our last episode about it being silly that Perrin would wonder why the Shanarian warriors defer to him, when he tells Uno to make sure that they bury the fallen wolves with the fallen men as equals instead of using their pelts for blankets, Uno does it. Mm-hmm. He just watched Perrin decimate the attacking trollocs, and he's the Dragon Reborn's friend. Perrin is basically trying to honor the wolves as comrades in arms. I think Uno respects him for this, even if he finds it odd.
Well, that and Perrin's yellow-eyed stare scares the hell out of him.
There's that, too.
Like, Uno's being stared down by a wolf, like, straight up.
Yeah,
He's gonna back down.
Yeah.
So, Rand is having one hell of a pity party right now.
Right?
He says, "Do you know what I did during the fight?" Still staring into the distance, Rand addressed the knight. "Nothing. Nothing useful. At first, when I reached out for the true source, I couldn't touch it, couldn't grasp it. It kept sliding away. Then, when I finally had hold of it, I was going to burn them all. Burn all the trollocs and the fades. And all I could do was set fire to some trees." He shook with silent laughter, then stopped with a pained grimace. "Sudden filled me till I thought I'd explode like fireworks. I had to channel it somewhere, get rid of it before it burned me up, and I found myself thinking about pulling the mountain down and burying the trollocs. I almost tried. That was my fight, not against the trollocs, against myself, to keep from burying us all under the mountain. He's just so lost right now, and it's sad to watch.
It really is. We get a good amount of exposure to how healing works in this chapter.
Yeah.
Like, an Aes Sedai can pull from the source, but needs to pull from strength of the person being healed too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always a cost. We will see more of this later with Matt, but it's nice to see rules for how magic works in this world. It makes it seem more real, at least for me, to know that there's a logic to the process and that it's not just some plot device.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a small thing, but I love how Perrin is craving more and more meat these days and not liking vegetables anymore.
Yeah.
The wolves have changed his appetite. He's hungry like the wolf.
Wow. Well, yeah. Okay.
I know. I had to. I also love that Moraine mentions that she healed the wolves she could find. Like, it's such a nice gesture, especially since we know it costs her.
Yeah, it does. Rand's fear of not being able to do anything when he needs to is totally justified. Like, he knows he has to fight the last battle. He knows he will need to use the power to do it, but he has yet to actually channel properly. And when he does manage it out of need, the outcome is so unpredictable. The fate of the world is on his shoulders, and that's a lot to bear.
Yeah.
But Lan is right. You can either sit and have a pity party about it and get nothing done, or you can face it on your feet and at least try to make some good come out of the crap situation that you're in. One of the reasons I don't like Rand is because he takes so long to really figure this out. His fear is justified here, but instead of using his fear to fuel his motivation, he kind of throws in the towel and lets fate dictate his actions.
Mm-hmm. I do love that Lan basically tells him to get his shit together.
Yeah.
Like in these early books, Lan is able to reach him in a way the others can't. That mentor role he takes in Rand's life means that Rand trusts him and respects him. He's less likely to lash out, and he actually considers what Lan is saying before he reacts to it.
True.
But yeah, Rand is not doing well.
And that's it for chapters 4 and 5 of The Dragon Reborn. Join us next week for chapters 6 and 7, where Rand disappears and it's time to leave the mountain.
We hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Wheel of Time Pod-Thru.
We'll see you next week. Make sure you rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you could leave us a positive review, it would really help us out. It makes us more visible so more people can find us. You can tweet us at Pod-Thru or email us at whatpodthru@gmail.com and tell us your thoughts about anything we covered today.
That's WOTPODTHRU@gmail.com. Or find our Wheel of Time Pod-Thru channel on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, and we hope the wheel weaves you in our direction again soon.